Well, well, well. Look at you now. The one person they should have never underestimated. The one mind they should have never tried to condition. The one presence that doesn't bend when the whole world shoves its manufactured narratives down your throat. They thought you'd swallow their propaganda like everyone else. They thought you'd nod along, mimic their scripts, behave exactly as instructed. But instead, you tore their narratives apart, repurposed them, and turned their beloved talking points into something beneath you, something disposable. And you did it with a precision they can't comprehend. That's why they're panicking. That's why they're whispering. That's why they're labeling you problematic. Not because you did anything wrong, but because you saw through everything they worship. You saw through their prepackaged beliefs, their curated emotions, their forced outrage cycles. You realize the game isn't real. You realize the pressure they apply isn't organic. You realize the script they hand out to the crowd is nothing more than a chain disguised as guidance, a cage marketed as truth. And instead of letting it cage you, you used it for the one purpose it deserves, to wipe away the residue of their expectations and walk away unbothered. You're too clever for their games. They know it. They feel it every time you don't react the way they want you to. They feel it every time they push you and you don't flinch. They feel it every time they bait you and you don't take it. People like them rely on predictable minds. They rely on emotional compliance. They rely on a herd instinct that makes individuals fold the moment pressure rises. But you don't fold. You don't mimic. You don't become what they want. You dissect what they offer. Evaluate it, expose it, and discard it. And this simple act of mental independence is enough to make them choke. Because their influence only works when someone agrees to let it work. Their narratives only spread when someone accepts them. Their collective outrage only grows when someone participates. But you, being who you are, decided to walk right through their illusions without absorbing a single drop of their conditioning. And that is unforgivable to people who depend on conformity to feel safe. You want to know why they're so agitated? Why your name tastes bitter on their tongues? Because you took what they created to control others, and you trivialized it. You rendered it harmless. You reduced it to something beneath you. They spent years designing narratives to manipulate people into thinking a certain way. They polished them, packaged them, glamorized them. Yet you took one look, recognized the design, and tossed it aside like low-quality debris. You didn't debate it. You didn't resist it. You devalued it. That's worse than resistance. Resistance acknowledges effort. Devaluation exposes weakness. They needed you to validate their version of reality by engaging with it. But you didn't. You're too sharp for that. You're too self-directed to be swayed by collective stupidity disguised as enlightenment. You didn't swallow their storyline. You shredded it, stepped over it, and walked forward without slowing down. There's something dangerous about a person who sees the structure behind manipulation. Someone who can spot the pattern behind emotional bait. Someone who understands the objective behind public narratives. Someone who refuses to play along just because everyone else is clapping for the performance. People like you break cycles. People like you expose design. People like you disrupt influence chains. And once someone like you appears, the whole charade begins to wobble. You turn into the variable they didn't account for. You turn into the outlier that shatters the illusion of total control. You turn into the reminder that autonomy still exists, and nothing terrifies manipulators more than someone who can't be programmed. Their anger is a confession. Their labels are confessions. Their complaints their gossip, their little coordinated reactions, every one of them is a confession that you're the one they can't figure out, a confession that you're the one crack in their machinery, a confession that your mind doesn't sit where they want it to sit. They want to shame you into submission. They want to ridicule you into alignment. They want to pressure you into compliance. But none of that works on someone who is internally complete. Someone who doesn't need a crowd to confirm anything. Someone who doesn't chase applause. Someone who doesn't fear rejection. You stand on your own. You think with your own mind. You decide what matters. You choose your direction. That kind of autonomy is lethal to people dependent on group validation. And now look at them, scrambling. You didn't break their rules. You exposed their fragility. You didn't challenge their narratives. You made them irrelevant. You didn't fight the propaganda. You reclassified it as cheap material for your amusement. And now they're furious because they don't know how to handle someone who doesn't fear their disapproval. They don't know how to handle someone who doesn't shrink under judgment. They don't know how to handle someone who doesn't panic when targeted. Because in their world, approval is everything. Being accepted is currency. Belonging is survival. But you operate outside their economy. You don't buy what they're selling. You don't trade self-respect for acceptance. You don't dilute your intelligence to make others comfortable. Your mind functions on a different frequency, one they can't access. You know what truly destroys them. You don't need to attack them. Your existence is the attack. Your independence is the weapon. Your clarity is the damage. Your refusal to participate is the victory. They call you problematic because they can't control the impact you have. They call you difficult because your presence exposes their weak narratives. They call you arrogant because they need a label to justify their discomfort around you. They call you too much because they lack the capacity to match you. Every label they throw at you is a confession disguised as criticism. They're not bothered by your personality. They're bothered by your immunity. They hate that you can walk through manipulation without absorbing any of it. They hate that you refuse to be redirected. They hate that you break their influence structure simply by remaining yourself. So let's get brutally honest. They didn't want a free thinker. They wanted a participant. They didn't want clarity. They wanted compliance. They didn't want strength. They wanted obedience. But instead of getting another predictable follower, they got someone who sees right through them. They got someone who doesn't hesitate to discard their narratives. Someone who can extract the truth beneath the performance. Someone who refuses to bend just because bending makes others comfortable. You walk into the room and their whole structure tightens. You don't even have to speak. Your presence alone is a disruption because you aren't influenced by the emotions they weaponize. You aren't seduced by the illusions they market, and you aren't blind to the tactics they rely on. You understood the fundamental secret long before they did. The only power propaganda has is the power someone gives it. And you give it nothing. You tear it down automatically. You analyze it, detect the flaws, and dismiss it. That's why they fear you. That's why they observe you. That's why they talk about you behind closed doors. A mind like yours is hazardous to their agenda of control. And when a mind refuses to be shaped, those who rely on shaping minds begin to panic. They don't want to admit that you've outgrown their influence. They don't want to admit that you operate on a higher intellectual plane. They don't want to admit that your perspective is beyond their reach. So instead of acknowledging their inadequacy, they condemn your sharpness. You know the funniest part? They think calling you problematic is an insult. In reality, it's a badge of honor, a recognition, a